The phone is quiet, but it's a different kind of quiet now. It's not the tense, electric silence of waiting, where every cell in your body is leaning towards a sound that never comes. It's not the silence you try to fill with noise, with distractions, with frantic plans to prove you're okay. No, this is the quiet that comes after. After you've made a decision, not with your mind, but with your body. The day you simply couldn't do it anymore. The day you stopped waiting. And it's strange, because a part of you expected to feel relief, freedom. Instead, there is just space, an unnerving, hollow space where the anxiety used to be. The phantom limb of a connection still aches. You've put the phone down, but your soul hasn't. Your energy is still reaching for something that isn't there. You tell yourself you've moved on. You tell yourself you don't care. But in the dead of night, a question whispers from the deepest part of you. Did he notice? Did he feel the shift? Does your absence echo in his world the way his silence screams in yours? This feeling, this profound and painful pull, is not a simple matter of wanting a text message. It's not about ego or winning a game. If you are feeling it this deeply, it's because you have touched upon one of the most powerful and misunderstood dynamics in human connection. A dynamic that goes far beyond surface-level attraction. This is not about the 3-day rule or playing hard to get. This is about the deep, unconscious architecture of the psyche. And until you understand what is truly happening beneath the surface, you will remain caught in this loop, with him or with the next man who fits the pattern. The pain you feel is real, but its source is not what you think. It's not just about him. It's about a part of your own soul that you unknowingly gave away. Before you decided to stop, the waiting was a full-time job. It had its own rhythm, its own rituals. The quick glance at the phone when you pulled it out for something else. The tiny jolt of your heart, a mix of hope and dread, before the screen lit up. The way you'd reread old conversations, searching for clues, for proof of the feeling you were sure was there. You were a detective, a cryptographer, trying to decode a silence that grew heavier each day. Your mind created entire cinemascope productions, scenarios where he was busy, where he was scared of his feelings, where he was crafting the perfect message, and scenarios where he was with someone else, laughing, not thinking of you at all. You lived in a dozen parallel realities, and all of them were exhausting. Your friends gave you advice. Just block him. He's not worth it. You deserve better. And you knew they were right, on a logical level. But their logic felt like trying to put a small bandage on a gaping wound. It didn't touch the core of the ache. It didn't explain the sheer magnetic force of the connection, the feeling that this was somehow different, significant. This is the first illusion that traps so many intelligent, self-aware women. The belief that the intensity of the feeling is proof of its validity. You mistook the volume of the emotion for the truth of the connection. But what if that intensity wasn't coming from him? What if it was coming from you? This is where we must move past conventional advice and turn to a deeper psychological map. Carl Jung understood that the most powerful attractions are rarely just about the two people involved. They are often dramas staged by the unconscious. And the central mechanism at play here is called projection. Imagine you are an artist, and you carry within you a masterpiece, a painting of incredible beauty, depth, and spirit. It represents everything you value, everything you aspire to, everything you secretly wish you were. Now you walk into a gallery, and you see a blank wall. The wall has a certain texture, a certain presence, but it is, for the most part, just a wall. But something about it catches your eye. And in an instant, without even realizing you're doing it, you hang your masterpiece upon it. Suddenly, the wall is no longer just a wall. It is breathtaking. It is profound. It radiates light and meaning. You fall in love with it. You can't stop thinking about it. You believe this wall is the most special, unique wall you have ever seen. You are not in love with a wall. You are in love with your own painting, which you have projected onto it. This is what happens in relationships. A woman carries within her an unconscious inner image of the masculine, an archetype Jung called the animus. This isn't a specific man. It's a composite of energy, ideas, spirit, and potential. It's the hero, the poet, the king, the wise man living inside her own psyche. When you met him, something about him, his way of speaking, a look in his eye, a shared vulnerability, a perceived strength, provided a hook. A hook just strong enough for you to hang your masterpiece, your animus projection, onto him. You didn't fall in love with just him, the man with his flaws, his history, his ordinary human limitations. You fell in love with him, plus your projection. And that combination is intoxicating. It feels like destiny. It feels like coming home. Because, in a way, you are seeing a reflection of the most divine part of your own soul. The problem is, you believe that divinity belongs to him. So, when he pulls away, when the phone goes silent, it doesn't just feel like rejection. It feels like a spiritual death. It feels like the source of all light in your life has been switched off. You are not just missing a man. You are severed from the most beautiful part of yourself, which you now believe lives inside him. This is why the waiting is so agonizing. You are not waiting for a text. You are waiting for your own soul to be given back to you. And you have placed the remote control for your own inner light in the hands of someone who doesn't even know he's holding it. Now, let's turn the lens for a moment. What is happening on his side of the silent phone? This is not about making excuses for poor behavior, but about understanding the unconscious dynamic that his silence creates. Just as a woman has an inner masculine, the animus, a man has an inner feminine, which Jung called the anima. The anima is his unconscious connection to feeling, to relationship, to intuition, to the soul. She is the muse, the siren, the priestess, the mysterious she who haunts his dreams and inspires his art. When a woman projects her powerful, idealized animus onto a man, it can have one of two effects on him. At first, it can feel incredible. He feels seen, admired, and powerful. Your belief in him inflates his ego. He feels like the hero in your story, and for a while, he might even try to play the part. He lives up to the projection. This is often the honeymoon phase, where the connection feels magical and effortless. Both of you are dancing with each other's idealized inner figures, but a projection is a heavy thing to carry. It's a mask, and no one can wear a mask forever. Eventually, the reality of who he is, a regular man with his own fears, insecurities, and limitations, will clash with the divine image you've placed upon him. He starts to feel a pressure he can't articulate. He senses that you are in love with an idea of him, not the real him. He fears that if he makes a wrong move, if he shows his flaws, the beautiful painting will be snatched away, and he will be exposed as just a blank wall. This triggers a deep, often unconscious fear of being engulfed. He feels that your need for him to be the one is a cage. He doesn't have the emotional language to say, "I feel like I'm failing an exam I didn't know I was taking." He doesn't know how to tell you that the pedestal you've put him on is terrifyingly high. So, he does the only thing his ego knows how to do to regain a sense of control and safety. He creates distance. He becomes silent. He withdraws. His silence is a defense mechanism. It's a clumsy, often hurtful, attempt to escape the weight of a projection he is not mature enough to handle or even recognize. He is not necessarily rejecting you. He is running from the impossible role you have unconsciously assigned to him. And here is the cruel paradox. His silence becomes the perfect blank screen for you to project even more. The less information he gives you, the more your mind fills in the gaps. The silence is not empty. It's filled with your fears, your hopes, your fantasies, your unresolved childhood wounds. His silence becomes a mirror, but you are only seeing yourself. You think you are analyzing him, but you are analyzing the contents of your own unconscious. The moment you decided to stop waiting was a revolutionary act. It may not feel like it yet. It may feel like defeat or resignation. But from a psychological perspective, it was the first step in a sacred and necessary process, the withdrawal of your projection. You have begun to take your painting back. This is why it hurts so much. This is why you feel that hollow emptiness. You are in the process of reclaiming a massive amount of your own psychic energy. For weeks, months, maybe even years, your life force has been flowing outwards, towards him, animating the image you created. Now, you have turned off that tap. The silence you feel is the sound of that energy no longer having a place to go. It hasn't returned to you yet. It's hovering in the space between you, in the ether of the unsaid. The real work begins now. It is not about forgetting him. It is about consciously integrating the qualities you projected onto him back into yourself. Take a piece of paper, or just open a space in your mind, and ask yourself, honestly, what did I see in him? Not the facts, his job, his height, his taste in music. The essence. Did you see a profound strength, a quiet confidence, a creative spirit, a deep well of feeling, a sense of freedom, a promise of adventure? Write it all down. Every quality that made him seem magical, special, the one. Now, look at that list. And this is the part that requires immense courage. Understand this. Every single quality on that list is a quality that exists within you. It is your own unrecognized strength, your own silenced creativity, your own deep well of feeling that you were afraid to own, your own longing for freedom and adventure. The animus is a map to your own hidden potential. You didn't fall in love with him because he possessed these things and you didn't. You were drawn to him because he acted as a mirror for a part of your own soul that was ready to be born. His role in your life was not to be your partner, but to be the catalyst. He was the messenger, not the message. The pain of his absence is a homing signal. It is calling you to find those qualities not in another person, but within the landscape of your own being. If you saw strength in him, it's because your own strength is asking to be used for your own life, not just to support his. If you saw freedom in him, it's because a part of you is desperate to break free from your own self-imposed limitations. If you saw a deep emotional well in him, it's because you have dammed up your own feelings and they are begging to be felt. This process is the core of what Jung called individuation. It is the journey of becoming whole, of integrating the disparate and often unconscious parts of ourselves into a conscious, functioning self. It's about moving from being a character in someone else's story to becoming the author of your own. This is also where we must confront the shadow. The shadow is the part of ourselves that we repress, deny, and are ashamed of. And for many women, especially those who are strong, capable, and independent on the surface, the shadow contains the needy girl, the part that feels desperately lonely, the part that fears abandonment above all else, the part that believes, on some deep level, that her worth is conditional upon being chosen by a man. While you were chasing him, while you were waiting for his message, you were able to keep this shadow at bay. The obsession with him was a convenient distraction from having to face this uncomfortable part of yourself. His silence was loud, but it was quieter than the voice of your own inner emptiness. When you stop waiting, the distraction is gone, and the shadow emerges. The feelings of unworthiness, the fear of being alone forever, the deep-seated belief that you are somehow not enough, they come flooding in. This is the moment most people run. They jump into a new distraction, a new person, a new obsession. They go back to texting him, just to quiet the unbearable noise of their own shadow. But the path to wholeness requires you to stay, to sit with that feeling, not to judge it, not to be consumed by it, but to turn towards it with curiosity and compassion. That needy part of you is not your enemy. It is a wounded inner child. It is the part of you that learned, long ago, that love was conditional and had to be earned. It learned that its needs were a burden. It learned to be quiet and wait for scraps of attention. When he is silent, it is not just a 35-year-old man not texting. It is your father not coming home. It is your mother being emotionally unavailable. It is every past experience of abandonment being reactivated in your nervous system. You are not just reacting to him, you are reacting to your entire history. The healing does not come from him finally texting you. That would only be a temporary fix, a dose of the drug that numbs the wound. The true healing comes when you, as the mature, conscious adult you are today, turn to that wounded part of yourself and say, I see you. I feel your fear. You are not too much. You don't have to be quiet anymore. I will not abandon you. I am here. I will choose you. This is the inner work that no one can do for you. It is the sacred act of self-parenting. It is the withdrawal of the projection, not just from the man, but from the entire concept that your salvation lies outside of yourself. So, what happens to him in all of this? What does he feel? As you begin this process of withdrawing your energy, something remarkable happens in the unseen, energetic field between you. The pressure is released. He might not be able to consciously name it, but he will feel it. The air will feel lighter. The sense of being watched, needed, and expected to perform will dissipate. Your absence will start to feel different. It's no longer the charged, demanding absence of someone waiting. It becomes a true, neutral absence, a void. And nature, including human nature, abhors a vacuum. When you were projecting onto him, he was running from the intensity. But when that intensity is gone, and there is only a clean, quiet space where you used to be, his own unconscious has room to move. His anima, the inner feminine figure he has been ignoring, may begin to stir. She might whisper your name in his quiet moments. He may start to wonder not about the needy girl he was running from, but about the woman whose light he was briefly allowed to stand in. He might start to miss not the projection, but the source of the projection. He might start to miss you. This is often when the message finally comes, when you have truly, deeply, and cellularly stopped waiting for it. When you have become so engrossed in the project of reclaiming your own soul that his presence or absence is no longer the central organizing principle of your life. But here's the most important part. If and when that message does appear on your silent phone, you will be a different woman. You will not feel that frantic, desperate jolt of validation. You will feel a calm curiosity. The power dynamic will have been completely rewritten, because the source of your light is no longer on loan to him. It has been returned to its rightful owner, you. You will be able to see him more clearly now, without the dazzling, distorting filter of the projection. You will see him as a man, with his own strengths and his own very real limitations. The magical masterpiece is gone, and in its place is a human being. And you can then choose, not from a place of need, but from a place of wholeness. Is this real person someone you want to build a real connection with? Or was his only purpose to show you the masterpiece you held within yourself? Many women fear this process. They fear that if they take their projection back, the magic will be gone and the connection will die. And sometimes it does. If the connection was only ever based on the illusion, then removing the illusion will reveal the emptiness, and that is a painful but necessary truth. It is better to grieve a fantasy than to live in one. But if there is something real there, something authentic between your two souls, it will not be destroyed. It will be given the chance to begin for the first time. Real love is not about two people gazing at a shared projection. It's about two whole individuals standing side by side, looking out at the world together, each in possession of their own light. If this journey of withdrawal and reclamation names something you have felt, but never been able to articulate, allow yourself a moment to acknowledge the depth of your own experience. This is not a simple heartbreak. This is a profound psychological and spiritual passage. The journey from waiting for his message to becoming your own message is the journey of a lifetime. It is the path from girlish infatuation to mature, feminine power. It is the moment you realize that the love you were so desperately seeking from him was a mirror of the love you were not yet giving to yourself. The validation you craved was your own soul asking to be seen by you. Let the phone be silent. Let the space that his absence creates be an invitation. Not an invitation for him to return, but an invitation for you to return, to come home to the vast, beautiful, and powerful landscape of your own being. The question was never, does he think of me? The question was always, when will I finally think of myself? And you have started. The silence is no longer his power over you. It is the quiet workshop where you are rebuilding your world. And this time, you are building it on the solid ground of your own self. My silence is not a game. It is my return to myself. But what does this return to yourself actually feel like, in the quiet moments when the world isn't watching? It is not a sudden, triumphant fanfare. It is quieter, deeper and far more profound. It happens in the body first. Remember the phantom limb of the connection, the ache where the waiting used to be. As you practice this inner reclamation, you will begin to feel a change in that empty space. It is the subtle, somatic experience of your own life force flowing back home. At first, it might feel like a strange heaviness in your torso, a sense of gravity returning to your own center. For so long, your energy was projected upwards and outwards, a thin, taut wire reaching for him. Now, it is sinking back down, into your belly, your hips, your legs. You might find yourself taking a deep breath and realizing you haven't truly inhabited your own body for months. You feel your feet on the floor, and for the first time, it feels like they can actually hold you. This is the feeling of being grounded, not as a concept, but as a physical reality. Your nervous system, which has been screaming in a state of high alert, of sympathetic activation, finally receives the message that the threat has passed. The threat was never his silence. It was the perceived threat of your own annihilation through abandonment. As your conscious adult self steps in to soothe that primal fear, your body begins to stand down. The shallow breathing, the racing heart, the tightness in your throat, these symptoms of the weight begin to soften. You have entered the realm of the parasympathetic. Rest, digest, and heal. This healing is not passive. It requires you to actively meet your shadow, the part of you that his silence has so painfully exposed. Sitting with the shadow is not an abstract idea. It is a practice. When that wave of crushing loneliness or unworthiness hits you, and it will, your old instinct is to run, to grab your phone, to binge a show, to pour a drink, to do anything to escape the feeling. The new practice is to do nothing, to stop, to close your eyes and let the feeling be there. Where is it in your body? Is it a cold stone in your stomach? A band of pressure around your chest? A searing heat behind your eyes? Don't name it intellectually, just feel its physical signature. Breathe into that location. Not to make it go away, but to signal to it that you are not afraid of it. Then you give it a voice. You ask that terrified part of you, "What are you so afraid of?" And you listen for the answer, without judgment. The answer will not be logical. It will be the raw, unfiltered terror of a child. I'm afraid no one will ever choose me. I'm afraid I'll be alone forever. I'm afraid I'm fundamentally broken and unlovable. Your job as the compassionate witness is not to say, "Don't be silly, that's not true." Your job is to hear the fear and validate the feeling. I hear that. It must feel so terrifying to believe you are unlovable. I am here with you in this feeling. I'm not going anywhere. In these moments, you are rewiring your own attachment patterns. You are becoming the secure base you never had. You are taking the power back not just from him, but from every person in your past who taught you that love was a scarce resource you had to compete for. This is the deep, cellular work of withdrawing the projection. And as you do this work, you will begin to notice concrete signs that you are changing. The alchemy is working. The first sign is that the obsessive mental loops begin to dissolve. You might still think of him, but the quality of the thought is different. It's no longer a desperate, analytical spiral. It's more like remembering a character from a book you once read. There's a distance, a sense of completion. The mental cinema in your head, once playing his highlight reel 24/7, has finally closed. The screen is dark, and the silence is peaceful. The second sign is a surge of your own life force, returning to your immediate environment. You will suddenly have the energy to tackle the pile of clothes in the corner of your room. You'll feel a genuine desire to cook yourself a beautiful meal, not for Instagram, but for the sheer pleasure of nourishing yourself. You'll call a friend and find yourself completely absorbed in their story, your mind not secretly waiting for a notification to pop up. This is your psychic energy, your libido in the Jungian sense, flowing back into your own life, animating your world, not his projected one. The third sign, and perhaps the most liberating, is a shift in your perception of the world. As you walk down the street, you'll notice that you are no longer subconsciously scanning every man for his potential as a replacement hook for your projection. You see people as just people. The world stops being a backdrop for your romantic drama and becomes a rich, textured place full of its own inherent interest. You are no longer a hungry ghost searching for a host. You are a woman living in her own home. And then comes the final test. The universe has a funny way of checking your work. It will send you an exam, not to make you fail, but to show you how much you have learned. Perhaps the message does finally come. One Tuesday afternoon, your phone lights up with his name. A year ago, this would have sent a jolt of electricity through your entire body, a chaotic mix of terror and triumph. Now, you look at it. You notice your own body's response. Your breath is steady, your heart is calm. You feel a flicker of curiosity, nothing more. The message might be a casual, "Hey, how have you been?" or a more loaded, "I've been thinking about you." You read the words, and you see them for what they are: data, not a verdict on your worth. You feel no frantic compulsion to reply, no anxiety about crafting the perfect response to lure him back in. The power is gone, because the projection is gone. You see before you a man sending a text, not a god granting an audience. You might reply later, or you might decide the conversation is complete. The choice is yours, and it is effortless, because you no longer need anything from him. You have already given yourself everything you were hoping he would provide. Or perhaps the test is that you see him, across a crowded room or on the street. The old you would have been instantly dysregulated, a rush of adrenaline, a desperate check of your reflection, a mind racing with 1,000 possible scenarios. The new you feels a quiet recognition. You might feel a gentle pang of melancholy, a brief mourning for the beautiful story you wrote. But you remain anchored. You can meet his eyes, and you don't need to see love or regret or anything at all in them. You can just see him, the person, separate from the masterpiece you once hung upon him. And you can turn and walk away, not in anger or defeat, but in peace. And what if the test is the ultimate silence? What if he never reaches out again? For the woman who has not done the work, this is the ultimate confirmation of her deepest fears. But for the woman who has, this outcome is just as peaceful as the others, because his presence or absence has become irrelevant to her sense of wholeness. The story was never about him returning. It was about her returning to herself. His role is finished. The messenger has departed, because the message has been received, understood, and integrated. This is the truest freedom. This entire journey, which began in the agonizing silence of a phone, was a sacred, disguised gift. It was an invitation from your own soul to undertake the most important quest of your life, the quest for the self. The heartbreak was the price of admission to your own depths. The goal was never to get him. It was to finally understand what you were looking for through him. You were looking for your own courage, your own passion, your own depth, your own unwavering self-love. You were looking for the part of you that knows you are worthy of being chosen, because you have finally, irrevocably, chosen yourself. Let the phone be silent. The conversation you need to be having is not with him. It is with the magnificent, powerful, and whole woman who has been patiently waiting for you to come home. The masterpiece you once projected onto a blank wall is now hanging in the gallery of your own soul, where it has belonged all along. You are not waiting for light from the outside. You are the source. You are the light.